Good evening. Welcome to this lecture series on astrology. So today we are going to start right from the scratch. So astrology is one of the Vedanga. There are 6 Vedangas in the Vedic scriptures, and astrology is the light or the eyes of Vedas. Now there were various Maharishis who propounded a lot of concepts to understand how the planets influence us. The technical name given for planets in astrology is graha. Graha means to grasp. Now, what does a graha grasp? It grasps the consciousness of the thoughts and the actions of an individual. Now, many of us think that the planets affect us, but that's not exactly true. It does affect us, but the cause for we ourselves. See, we create thoughts in our brains, and these thoughts are being grasped by these planets who are monitoring us. And planets are agents of God. Maharishi Parashara in Brihat Parashara Hora Shastram, in his very first chapter, explains that the planets are the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu himself. Now, why does Mahavishnu do so? He does so for controlling the thoughts and behavior of each and every individual. Now we have to understand that this creation functions because of our role as well. There are countless number of souls in this universe, and each soul has a role to play, and the universe would function properly only when each soul does its functions properly. If it deviates, then the results would also change. We all know that there are 3 basic modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And each soul, due to the influence of the modes of nature, creates a certain kind of thought, does certain kind of action, which ultimately affects the universe as a whole. So these planets are grasping our consciousness, grasping our thoughts. Now they grasp the thoughts, and during their dasha period, which we would discuss later, they influence the native. For example, if I come across a beautiful lady and if I create a thought in my mind that I should marry her or I should marry such a girl, then the planet Venus, the Karaka for marriage, would grasp such a thought, and during the Venus Dasha, it would give back the result, and there is a possibility that I might get attracted to a lady during Venus Dasha. So in this manner only. So it is wrong to say that planets directly influence us. It is not so. It influences us because we have created such thought patterns within our brain. And that's why today quantum physics also accepts that the world which we see outside is simply our mental perception. But how does this function? How is that I am able to see something animated in front of me when I am the only real identity? I am the only real person. It happens because of these planets. So we would from now use the word graha instead of planets. So, to start with, let's try to understand astrology in a layman's language. Astro is the physical bodies, what we say in this, what we see in the space, and there is a logic behind how they influence mankind, not only mankind, all living beings on earth. Now, in our Vedic scriptures, it is said that this earth is the karma bhumi, or where we are supposed to act. And these planets, as we discussed before, are monitoring our actions and thoughts. And subsequently, they reward us during their period. So, there are nine grahas, namely Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are two nodes of Moon. Now they are shadowy planets. It is because of the intersection of Rahu and Ketu that the solar and lunar eclipse takes place. Now these two shadowy planets are the two ways to lead life. Now Ketu is more a spiritual planet. When we say spiritual planet, a person who under higher influence of Ketu would behave a bit eccentric. He is more like a sannyasi or an ascetic who believes in detachment. He is not attracted towards the material things, and he is more towards spiritual understanding of life. He is more towards the mystical experiences of life. He is more towards uh, gaining the mystical knowledge of this universe. On the other hand,